I have the impression that Hans is much less nervous when I'm there. October 20th. While I was doing my homework yesterday evening, Hans crept up on me so quietly that he made me jump. He took a pencil and a blank sheet of paper and curiously, he started drawing. It's the first time since his accident he has done anything but daydream. October 28th. Hans scribbles almost obsessively. It is all he will do, all day long. I feel it annoys Father. Nobody else understands, but I can see that Hans is trying to draw mammoths. November 16th. Today is my birthday, and Gertrude has made me an apple pie, my favorite. But Father has not returned home for lunch, and Hans doesn't want to leave his room. The best present I could ever have is to see Hans back on the way to recovery. December 25th. Snow is falling. It is so beautiful. That's Christmas. January 10th, 1931. The doctor visited to examine Hans. He seems happy that my little brother has fully recovered his faculties. It truly is a miracle. I don't understand why he doesn't talk more, though. Why isn't he livelier, like he was before? February 9th. It is Hans' birthday. Today he is 11 years old. I have the strangest of impressions that actually he has lost 5 years rather than gained one more. February 24th. Doctor has just left. I saw him whispering with Father. Their serious expressions worried me awfully. What could they be hiding from me? I am grown up now at the age of 15. I can understand everything. I am too scared to ask Father what is happening. March 15th. I've been thinking, and it seems to me that Hans' attitude isn't normal. Shock of the fall and his coma must have had much more serious effects than we first imagined. Hans, my dear brother, what is happening to you? April 4th. I have discovered the truth. Hans is stunted, physically and mentally. I eavesdropped a conversation between the doctor, Father, and Gertrude. Gertrude buried her tear-filled eyes on her apron, and Father muttered the word retard. Retard under his breath. How could he say such a thing? April 13th. It is Easter, and we're on school holidays. This means I can spend all day with Hans and protect him from Father's permanent dark moods. He cannot accept the fact that Hans, his only son, will stay in this state forever. April 14th. It is truly difficult to accept that it is not Hans' fault. Mine maybe, but not Hans. I don't know how to make Father understand. He seems full of hatred for him. It is dreadful. I feel so powerless. May 14th. 1 year. 1 year has gone by, and it seems like an eternity. The situation shows no signs of improvement, neither in terms of Hans' mental health or Father's attitude towards him. May 30th. Extraordinary. Father has decided to take Hans to Paris for new tests. He says that only in the French capital will he find truly competent doctors. We must make Hans ready for the great expedition. June 6th. No news from Father and Hans, but I remain hopeful. I am sure they will take good care of my little brother. July 15th. They have returned. Hans rushed into my arms and started crying. It took me a long time to calm him down and get him to sleep. Father is still a taciturn, as he was before he left. French doctors had confirmed the diagnosis. Hans will remain physically and mentally impaired. I am stunned. I'm starting to think that's why he was kicked out of the factory or something like that. Because his father despised him or some shit like that. April 28th. The summer is coming to a close. It has been less stifling than the last. The sun has put color in Hans's cheeks. When I look at him, I have difficulty imagining that he will not change. November 16th. Father still says nothing and increasingly shuts himself away in his office at the factory. Christmas. Gertrude tells me that love and faith triumph over any science. I lack neither. God be praised. January 12th, 1932. Father took Hans to the factory this morning. Hans was so afraid that I accompanied them. Fortunately, Father said nothing. I failed to understand why he insisted on bringing him there. January 13th. Father left for the factory with Hans once again this morning. I think he wants to persuade Hans that he could be useful for something. It is his way of resisting fate. February 17th. For a month now, every morning Hans has gone to work with Father at the factory. I'm not exactly sure what he does there, but he seems to enjoy it. I feel my brother's behavior has changed considerably. He is much less capricious. April 14th. I could cry. Hans has made me a present. A small robot mammoth with a trunk that rises and falls. When Father saw it, he nodded his head in satisfaction. May 20th. Oh yeah, because April 14th is her birthday. Okay, May 20th. Both Gertrude and Father now have their own robot mammoths. Theirs are even more intricate and finely tuned. Little brother is not such a retard after all. October 15th, 1932. Hans' mammoths now walk, raise their trunks, and wag their tails. It's incredible. December 22nd. I met the head of the factory workshop, Mr. Grips, this morning. He says that for a young lad of 12, Hans is very gifted. It's a shame he only makes elegance. Can't take that, okay. February 11th, 1933. Father and Hans were locked in a long discussion yesterday, or should I say Hans was locked in one of the father's long monologues. As it is inconceivable that Hans should go to school like other children, Father wants to take him on as a worker at the factory. However, Hans will have stopped making his own little devices. Hans silenced. His half-gaping mouth and staring eyes finally sent Father off into a rage. February 20th. I tried to broach the subject with Hans. I suggested he should obey Father. Learning a craft at the factory is his one chance to do something constructive with his life. He is so gifted and takes so much pleasure in making automatons. He did look like he wasn't listening to me, but I know he'll think about what I said. February 20th. It's not that Hans cannot speak, it's rather that he doesn't want to speak. He uses the least possible words for communication, except with me, but he is still very economical with words. May 15th. Incredible! Hans was not just satisfied with learning how the assembly line works. Instead, he was completely redesigned it. Father and Monsieur Grips are taking a serious look at his plans. July 10th. Father has wanted to talk to me about my future since I passed my exams. He wants to send me to university because he says my intelligence is astounding. My heart was beating so loud. It is true. I do love studying, but I couldn't bear to be away from Hans. September 2nd. What a ghastly summer. I have been permanently torn between my desire to go to university and my refusal to leave my brother. I talked about it with Hans, but he said nothing. That same evening I found my own little mammoth broken. October 9th. Hans had another fit of hysterics at dinner again. Father announced that Hans' new assembly line would soon be finished. However, they have removed the automaton parrots that shout orders, as they were deemed superfluous. Hans was livid. He hurled his soup dish to the ground and stomped off to his bedroom. What will happen between the both of them when I'm not here? October 17th. Despite my scruples, I am finally leaving. Hans has not talked to me for a week. Father would not understand if I told him why I wanted to stay. My heart is so heavy. Christmas. It is so strange to be home. I had never left home for such a long time before. Once we were alone, Hans did not stop talking. Words just leaped from his mouth. How he laughed at his excitement. He presented me with a delightful little ballerina to replace the mammoth, he told me. I was so touched that I started crying. Distance has done nothing to harm the strong bond between us. September 10th, 1937. It's a big jump from 33 to 37. It is strange to pick up this diary once more. At first, my impulse was to tear it up, but I resisted and instead succumbed to my second desire, which was to write for a while. I'm alone in my attic once more. I have been home for 2 months now, and after a summer spent living with the intense joy of being reunited with my brother Hans, has returned to the factory. Father has aged so, and Gertrude's arthritis causes her terrible pain. September 13th, 1937. All in all, these last 4 years have been kind to Father and Hans. The relationship is less tense. They still do not exchange much conversation, but they now have a thing in common, the factory. I'm never beginning to feel a bit jealous. Silly, really. I'm even beginning to feel a little bit jealous, sorry. September 17th. Hans hasn't changed. To help Gertrude, he has designed a totally automated kitchen, and Gertrude cannot stop moaning at the wooden puppets. Oh, how I adore them. October 9th. I went to go and see Father and Hans at work. I hadn't been to the factory for ages. It is strange how much it has changed. I was very curious to see them set about their tasks. I like Father's new office very much. Hans has a small workshop on the first floor, crammed with odds and ends, unfinished robots and designs, exactly as I imagined it, in fact. October 15th. The factory is working very well. Orders for toys keep coming in, spurred on by the run-up to Christmas. When I was at university and I said my name was Vullerberg, people would ask me if I had any relation to the Valladolid factory. Now I know the effect that Hans' genius has had on the factory's renown. November 2nd. To make myself useful, I started helping Father set his papers in order. The most extraordinary thing of all is that, for the first time ever, I have the impression that the three of us form a real family. December 8th. Hans never ceases to surprise me. Between home and the factory, his behavior is so very different. In his workshop, he is serious, concentrated, a proper young man who keeps his eye on everything going on, constantly on the move and in control. One has the impression that each single toy is his very own infant. At home, he turns back into a child once more, is either moody or happy-go-lucky buffoon. Christmas. The most wonderful Christmas of my whole life. Hans and I could not stop giggling like children beneath Father's disapproved glare. I know that he was only pretending, really. Our hearts were so full of hope. January 5th, 1938. Hans came to see me in my bedroom yesterday evening. I felt terribly awkward, terribly ill at ease. I might have guessed. Hans wants to leave Valladolid, the house and the factory. He wants to go traveling. He doesn't know where to or how or for how long. That's just like him. I was so shocked that I told him his plans were foolish. He left my room without a word, his head bowed. Okay, so I was wrong about him being despised by his father. He just wants to leave. January 7th, 1938. I thought that he wanted to leave because of Father. Not at all. It's because of the mammoths. He wants to go tracking mammoths. I thought he had gotten over his obsession. I know my brother only too well. I wouldn't dream of telling him his quest is useless. It isn't worth it. He will not listen to reason. January 10th, 1938. I was so selfish the other evening. I returned to talk to Hans and ask him gently if he was sure of his decision. I already know what the reply is going to be. Nothing will make him change his mind. January 19th. Despite my profound sadness and despair, I must help Hans fulfill the destiny he has chosen and announce the news to Father. I fear the worst. January 24th. The worst was worse than my fears. Father's anger was terrifying. He shut Hans away in his workshop at the factory and has forbidden all visits except from Gertrude, who feeds him. February 1st. Father has decided that Hans should remain locked up for as long as it takes him to abandon his infantile decision. Gertrude tells me that Hans is very despondent, yet highly resolute. The worry is driving me mad. February 6th. As soon as Gertrude returns from the factory, I hasten to get news of my little brother. He doesn't say anything, just fiddles with his bits and pieces. He replies every day with a sigh. I have tried desperately to reason with Father, but I know I am just wasting my breath. February 9th. Hans is 18 years old today, and he is all on his own for his birthday. February 20th. In secret, Gertrude delivered to me a small robot from Hans. It's a robot of us as children. It works with a small cylinder punched with tiny holes. I quivered with emotion as I turned the key. The message it gave was simple. He was telling me he loved me very, very much. February 21st. Gertrude gave me a different tiny cylinder for today's toy. Hans is truly incredible. He has found a means of communicating between us and us alone in total secret. February 27th. My days are spent eagerly awaiting Hans' messages. He has now resolved to run away. He's preparing his escape, like if it was a game. Whoa. March 6th, 1938. Gertrude has returned and she is beside herself. Hans has disappeared. Father has not even deigned to return to the workshop where he's locked up his son, nor find out how he managed to escape. He just gave me a black look as if he knew we were up to something behind his back. March 7th. It's beginning to dawn on me that Hans is gone. I miss him so much. Lord, please protect my little brother and watch over him for me. March 11th. With Hans gone, Father now locks himself away, night and day, at the factory. The house is so gloomy now. March 12th. This morning I caught Father in the drawing room installing a coffin on the trestle. The sight of it made my blood freeze. What on earth is he up to? My questions meet only with story silence and a permanent black countenance. March 13th. Behind closed curtains, the drawing room with the coffin, surrounded by huge candles, has become a veritable funeral chamber. March 14th. This is ghastly. I have just understood what Father is up to. This morning the priest came to pray before the coffin, and I finally caught on. Father is in mourning for the death of Hans. Father made the priest believe that his son was dead. How could he do such a thing? In the madness occasioned by his grief, my father grows ever more cold and calculating. He contacted his old friend Dr. Small, who duly drew up a bona fide death certificate without even seeing the body. I dare not imagine what yarn he spun. March 17th. Hans' funeral will be officially held next Sunday. Father strictly forbade me to attend. This sordid masquerade makes me feel ill, but I cannot denounce the subterfuge, or else I will display my father's mental instability to the world. The shame would kill him. That much is certain. I have to get away. Far, far away. April 23rd. No, I will not leave. I have thought long and hard. My life is here, next to my father. He needs me too much now. The factory needs me, because father is incapable of running it now. Besides, I can only find peace of mind among Hans' robots. And how shall I know when he has sent me new ones if I am not home at all to receive them? No, I shall not leave. My destiny is to remain here and keep watch. Alright, that's the end of this tragic story. God damn, that was long as fuck. Shit. Okay, I took a break, got myself some coffee, because that was a lot of reading. Kind of dried out my throat a bit near the end. But it's over now, so we don't have to worry too much about it. We got a bell from that drawer as well, so that's another good thing. Whew, excuse me. No, there's like anything else here. Let's continue exploring this little attic. Does this go back? I think it does, yeah. Okay, don't want to go back yet. Is there a way to continue forward? Yep. Ooh, there's like a little alcove here. Let's see if we can turn on that light. Awesome. What the hell? Oh, it's that kid.
Mammoth. You draw mammoth for Momo?
Ah, Momo, it's you. You scared me.
What's up, little kid?
What are you doing in here?
Momo want mammoth picture, like Hans' picture.
Sorry, I haven't got a picture of a mammoth with me.
Take paper and pencil and draw mammoth for Momo.
You don't give up easily, do you?
What's wrong with this kid? Why does he want like a mammoth picture? Here, I'll draw one if I know how.
You remember me, don't you? I'm Kate.
Draw mammoth for Momo, please.
You must find me a bit rude turning up places uninvited where nobody knows who I am. See, it's kind of my job, you know, to get involved. But don't mind me. Just carry on with what you're doing.
Momo not mind. Anna kind, never angry.
That's right. She won't be angry. Not now.
I don't even understand what's going on.
You're a sweet kid, Momo. But I can't draw. Least of all, mammoths.
Draw mammoth easy. Hans draw mammoth. Anna draw mammoth. Kate too.
I mean, maybe I could do a quick squiggle of a box, say, that has a mammoth inside.
No, Momo want a real mammoth.
My goodness, you are one stubborn boy.
Okay. Let's try help.
There's something I'm looking for, but I don't quite know what. I need a clue, anything that might tell me where Hans is. You want to help me, don't you?
First you draw mammoth for Momo.
And if I help you, you help me, right?
Momo know Kate is kind. Kate draw mammoth for Momo. Then Momo tell Kate secret.
You've got a secret?
First draw mammoth for Momo.
Alright, let's go draw a
Momo?
mammoth.
I've got to go now. But see you later, maybe.
Okay, let's see. We got an ink bottle. Look at that. Okay, we got an ink bottle and a pen and paper. Perfect. Hang on, let me go back to this desk that's over here.